How much money should you spend on a DAC? Okay. This question comes from Kenneth in Denmark, and he writes, how much should I spend on a DAC relative to the other components? I've been looking for a DAC for my system, but I'm wondering how much sense it makes to spend a lot on the DAC. That's really a good question. My general rule of thumb is that you want to put the most money you have into your speakers. So speakers are, assuming you're going to play on speakers and not headphones, speakers are the most critical elements in our system to really make everything work. And then once you have those speakers, and let's say that you're going to spend as much as 2/3 of your budget, certainly half your budget, at a minimum, half should go to the speakers, okay? So first thing you need to do, set a budget. How much can you afford? How much do you want to spend on all of this? Do you already have your speakers? Are you just trying to upgrade your electronics? There's lots of questions that it's so hard to answer in general, and I hesitate to do it. Usually when people call here or write to us for advice, we run them through a series of questions because answers aren't always so straightforward that you just need some background. Some people would say, oh, well, my budget's only like $20,000, $30,000. Like, okay. Now that puts us in a whole different league. Others will say, I've got $1,000 to spend. I've got, a couple grand, and that's it. So lots of questions, but I'm going to assume, that said, that you've already got your speakers, and now you're trying to figure out within the electronic chain, how important is that DAC? And again, hard to answer because I don't know what else is in your system. I'm going to have to generalize and say that a DAC is a critical component because DACs make a huge difference, huge difference in the way it sounds, but only if you have a system resolving enough to pass that level of information. So I'll give you an example. Let's say that you have mediocre speakers, an okay power amp, preamp combination that are pleasant sounding, but they're not very revealing. Well, spending money, a good deal of money that I would suggest, and I don't mean lots and lots of dollars, right? You don't have to spend lots and lots of dollars because there are fine DACs out there that aren't terribly expensive. But I wouldn't waste the money on a good DAC if we can't get the resolution that DAC can offer us through the rest of the system. So again, it's hard, and I hate to just keep going around and around in circles because I'm trying to answer a very general question without a whole lot of information. There are good DACs out there from anywhere from $500 to way up there. And we make a DAC that I think it's called the Gain Cell DAC, and it's $1,700. It's an excellent DAC. Shit Audio makes some excellent DACs, and they're well under $1,000, and you wouldn't go wrong buying one of theirs. So it is a very important element. All that said, if I assume you have a resolving system, a pair of speakers that you can get all that resolution through, then a DAC can be one of the most critical elements in your system. And you might want to invest some decent money into that DAC because the conversion of digital to analog is a very important element to get right. And mostly it's in the analog circuit. So people think, well, I'm going to have all this fancy technology. And there is a lot of fancy technology and filtering and DACs and high resolution, all that. But at the end of the day, no matter how fancy and sophisticated and high technology your digital to analog converter is, it's the output analog stage that makes or breaks that DAC. So when you are researching, look to see what the designers tell you about the output stage of that DAC. And If they've taken the time to explain it to you, then it's, and you like what they tell you, then it's probably a good bet it's a decent DAC. If they just brush by it and say, yeah, it's a classic output stage and it's very nice, look somewhere else, because that means that they put all their money into really cool chips for the DAC and they just threw an op amp on, or they did what companies usually do. The analog stage is kind of an afterthought, and we don't want that. And we would never allow that here, but I know you're looking outside. So anyway, sorry I can't give you just a clear-cut answer, but it's really hard to do in a vacuum. So let me know. Okay? Thanks.